Good evening. My name is Odie Hawkins, and I've been talking to Zola Salena-Hawkins, my incredible wife, my love, about various things and issues concerning how people know what they know. And it occurs to me, or has occurred to me over a period of time, that some of the things we know that earn you degrees are not things that really mean anything other than the fact it entitles you to get a degree. Some people might call it mother wit. They might have a degree, but no mother wit. That's something my mother used to say to me. Don't wind up being an educated fool. Anyway, having said all that, I'm down to the last column of the columns I wrote for the African Times newspaper, 1996, 1999. And one of the things that happened as a result of being a columnist for the newspaper is that the publisher, Mr. Anshiam, Charles Anshiam, offered us a trip to go to Cancun, Mexico, big time resort there, and they were anxious to let everybody know they can come because they had a series of devastating natural events, hurricanes that blew everything away, and they wanted to let people understand that they could come because everything was cool. So I wound up having a week trip to this fabulous place, and I decided to end the reading of the columns I've been reading over a period of time. I decided to read this one, and then in coming times, taking advice for the astute Zola Salena, I'll be heading off onto a different tack. I'll keep you in suspense about what it's about until we get there. But that's what's going to happen. In any case, let me take us into the last reading of the African Times columns. I call this Discovering the Beauty of Cancun, Part 2. Dateline Cancun, December 2nd, 1998, 6:45 p.m. Cancun time. The Aero-Mexico spaceship circles for landing at the Cancun airport. They got it all set up to take your money for you the minute you get there. A beautifully arranged pattern of lights gleam up at us. It isn't that LAX airport we approach, which gives the impression that all of the lights, bulbs in the world have been lit and spread across the Los Angeles basin. No, nothing that glitzy. Just 5 hours from Los Angeles via Mexico City, and the light display is different, more exotic, better designed. I'm coming down out of the sky with so much earthbound stuff on my mind. I can't force myself to forget that the Yucatan Penisula is within walking distance of Vera Cruz, the scene for African slave importation during the time of the Spanish slave business. People don't know, they don't know, they don't know. They had an importation of Africans to Mexico. It was equivalent to importation to New Orleans. And right over there is Odie, Jamaica, and Vodun Haiti. Strange. What was that?
And it's you.
Ah,
It's you.
it's you.
It's you.
Strangely, none of the usual suspects have ever focused on the complex relationship that existed between the Africans in Cuba, Jamaica, and the Yucatan, and Florida. Right there in the middle of it. A casual look at any map shows the proximity of these places to the other. Africans did escape from the Cuban slavery by sailing to Florida, just as many Cubans have done in the modern era. Madelistas. Many Africans in Caribbean captivity did escape to the Yucatan to be swallowed up by Indian simpaticos and the jungle. We needn't depend on the Olmec craniums to detail an African presence in the Yucatan. That's another story altogether. These football-looking helmet people in the Yucatan that somebody said, oh, well, that's Olmec heads and that's it. Well, how did they get to that understanding of that going right along? I've been fascinated by the African connection in this part of the world, from the Olmec Africoid football heads down to the existence of Spanish-speaking African communities that dot the coastlines and have been there for many generations. Once again, the same old reason: no one has investigated the existence of these communities, obviously so far from the place of their origin. The African-Mexican connection has been such a well-disguised secret that no one in any Mexican or American school system wants to unmask it till this very day. The basis for all of the reasons why we have not been exposed to this knowledge is purely racist, beginning with the Spanish conquest of Mexico. The Spaniards made every effort to disconnect the indigenous people from their history. A little bit like we are here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell them where they came from, and it'll be better to control them.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing personal about the inhumane treatment of the conquered people, just a matter of business as usual, a way to entrench their own values and culture from themselves. It certainly wouldn't serve their purpose to make the presence of Africans and their subsequent influence a matter of record. That attitude is still pervasive in the Mexican educational system. America's effort to limit and degrade Africans, African cultures, traditions, and history is too well known to dwell on. We're up to right now that they want to call having us know more about ourselves woke. On the ground, all is upbeat, upscale. We're being seduced by the Yucatan's balmy evening air and the congenial young man who is chauffeuring us to the Cedar Park Hotel. Would anyone care for a soft drink, a cold beer? I'm sure my fellow travelers would agree that the first impression has to be the most positive. The chauffeur was not servile, doing a menial job, but rather gave the impression of someone welcoming guests to his hotel. That kind of vibe makes a difference, and we were here to learn over the course of our 5-day visit that there was a prevailing vibe. Senora Lucia Samaniego de Trevino, the communications manager and our hostess, gave us a quick, lovely lesson on how it is possible to welcome 4 cynical journalists to a $480 million hotel and make it seem folksy and natural. I believe she said something like, "Welcome to the Cesar Park." Or was it simply, "Welcome"? Whatever she said was reinforced by a firm handshake. We were then escorted to apartments that would have been called rooms in other hotels. A few words about the Cesar Park, Cancun. a hotel, 426 rooms and suites. It's built in the shape of a pyramid and is gorgeously landscaped. There are expensive rooms and suites and more expensive rooms and deluxe suites.
Mm.
And they all offer the guests a superb view. On one side, there's the pristine blue of the Netchupik Lagoon, and the other side, the Caribbean Sea. A golfer's heaven with a par 72 18-hole golf course bordering the lagoon, complete with a well-stocked pro shop and golf pros. Mr. Akira Y. Yamamoto, gold director, Jorge G. De Vera, exclusive assistant manager, and Lorena Vilchis, director of golf sales, available to deal with any golfing problems. I was out of breath.
I understand.
I didn't become aware of the tennis courts, the fitness center, the kiddies club room, and the water sports facilities until the next clear sunny day. Remember, the average temperature year-round is 80 degrees.
Wow.
No humidity, is 80 degrees. Spices for Mexican specialties, Argentine grilled meats and Italian delicacies, your choice of pastas. Japanese cuisine at Serenita, the restaurant at the beach, 75 yards east, and 24-hour room service that offers gourmet midnight breakfasts. I could feel a lot of the tensions that normally occupy a day in Los Angeles begin to retreat. I was deep in Mayalan. The morning of my first day at the Caesar Park could have been the first scene from a pleasant dream. The trip was definitely not going to be a hard sell. The schedule called for breakfast at leisure, that's at Spice's restaurant, and an excursion to Xiscari. Remember that X is Ish. Xiscari is about 50 miles from Caesar Park, and in ancient times was the site of ceremonies and pelota, the life or death ball game that the Mayas played. The winners were given valuables. The losers lost everything, including their lives. It took exactly 1 day to determine the difference between the recent arrivals and those who had been there for a day or two. The recent arrivals were still frowning from their collective memories of European snows, Chicago winds, Tokyo traffic, California violence, whatever. The ones who had been there for longer than a day had obviously been given a license to smile, to be at ease. Let me try it again. The Caesar Park, Cancun, gave me the first opportunity to see a hotel staff that didn't take the first opportunity to try to hide from the guests. Everyone, from the man chauffeuring us to the maids cleaning the rooms, actually seemed delighted to see us. It was a refreshing exchange. I'm sure they told them, we're going to have them come back down here, so be on your best behavior. After breakfast at leisure, onward to Xiscari. Xiscari must be one of the best kept eco-archaeological theme parks in the world. It has been labeled nature's sacred paradise. And I will be the last to dispute that claim. It's mind-boggling. Mexico at its best, a private company whose primary concerns are country, history, and natural resources. And I'm leaving you hanging deliberately because I would like to have you go to Cancun and check it out. Remember, the Mayan elite went there way back when, so why shouldn't you do it? I got to say that Charles Ancham was pleased with my article, and I think it encouraged him to go.
Fantastic.
But that's neither here nor there.
We've enjoyed the
As I said,
readings.
excuse me, you was saying?
Yes, we've enjoyed these readings. It's been very inspiring and creative and interesting. And we look forward to the new moment in time.
Okay, I'll have to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Zola Salena, my writer, director, producer, wife, love of my life, will be making suggestions about what we will be doing in coming episodes. So don't be surprised if I turn and say, "Excuse me, dear, what are we doing now?" But mostly we decided on dealing with readings from works that I've written.
As well as books that you're reading.
I'm sorry, you said
As well as books that you would recommend.
books that I've written.
Yes.
I won't be reading whole books,
No, no.
but maybe
A bit in
a
that.
chapter here and there.
This is true.
It's been a real trip and a pleasure to sit here and fool around with what I've done for the African Times newspaper.
And there's
And
more
I
to
hope-
come.
Sure.
Yes. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com, where your books can be purchased, and just Google the name Odie Hawkins, and you'll be surprised. With that,
I look forward to seeing you in the coming week.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.